This is Showtime Sean Porter.
This is Aerosmith Jr.
Hey everyone, this is Jesse Vargas.
And you're watching True School Sports.
You're watching True School Sports.
And you're watching True School Sports.
Stay tuned.
Lions only, huh? Lions only. Lions only. Get the f out of here.
My flow, my show brought me to go. That brought me all my fancy things. My crib, my cars, my clothes, my jewels. Look, homie, I done came up and I ain't changing. You should love it way more than you hate it. Oh, you mad? How come that you be happy I made it?
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, words of my brethren all around the world watching this video. Hope you're having a great day today as you're tuning in. Make sure you do yourself a damn favor and hit that subscribe button, and surely you will not be disappointed. Now, interesting stuff, because I was patrolling the streets of the internet, and I was just looking at, you know, what's the latest and what's the greatest in the world of boxing. What's the new boxing news? Any new fights going on? Any new, things coming out? And much to my surprise, all right, I saw something interesting come out of the middleweight division, and it comes in the form of Jermall Charlo. Jermall, he's got it all. Charlo, Jermall Charlo. They're saying, sources are reporting, my main man, 50 grand, Steve Kim, who's now on ESPN, by the way, so big shout out to Steve Kim. Steve Kim is coming out, and he's pretty much saying that, Jermall Charlo will be challenging, will be fighting, that his next opponent will be Brandon Adams, June 15th in Houston, Texas. It'll be a homecoming fight. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Brandon Adams, for my real deal, true OG boxing fans out there, I don't know if y'all remember the fight, the show The Contender, but recently they just brought The Contender back, and Brandon Adams was actually the guy that won the middleweight version of The Contender. He won The Contender. He had a couple fights, beat some pretty solid fighters in the process. He beat, Evgen Kaitrov, who had a really good fight with, Emmanuel Alim about a year and some change ago, and was an Olympian for the Ukraine team. Beat him for in a decision. Then in the final, he fought Shane Mosley Jr. But this is the same Brandon Adams who, 4 years ago got outboxed by Willie Monroe Jr. It's the same Brandon Adams that, in 2015 got stopped by the likes of John Thompson. So, when we talk about Brandon Adams, we're talking about a guy who has improved, who has beaten some quality fighters to get to where he's at now. But let's call a spade a spade. When we talk about Jermall Charlo, we're talking about a guy that is one of the champions of the division. We're talking about a guy that should be in big fights. And we're talking about a guy that in his last fight, before he got the fight with, what's his name? Matt Korobov. Before he fought Matt Korobov, he was slated to fight Willie Monroe, and that was a mismatch within itself. And he wound up getting a better opponent based on circumstance, based on Willie Monroe failing a drug test for a banned substance. So, and then he fought Korobov, a guy that had not been in a big fight in quite some time, a guy that was 35, a guy that was inactive, and Korobov, made him look bad at points of the fight, and people, gave him a lot of criticism. He caught a lot of flack for that fight, and people had the audacity to say that Jermall Charlo was trash and he's garbage, and he's like his brother Jermell, but he's not like Jermell. He can actually fight at the highest of levels. Jermell, a bit overrated in my opinion, always was, but Jermall's got it all. Jermall can fight his ass off. So, I don't think it's a good look for him personally. I don't think it's a good look for him to be fighting the likes of a Brandon Adams, okay? Because this is a Brandon Adams, when we look at him, okay, when we look at Brandon Adams, is he coming off a couple of good wins on The Contender? Yes, he beat Kaitrov, who was a good fighter, and he beat Shane Mosley Jr., who's solid, but these are not, world beaters. These are not the creme de la creme fighters of the world. And Brandon Adams is a, average puncher. This is the same Brandon Adams who's lost to, guys that, he lost to the guy that Charlo was supposed to fight before he fought Korobov, and Willie Monroe, he got a box by him. And he got stopped by John Thompson. And, it's just not a good look for Jermall at this point in his career, because, he had a not so good performance against Korobov, or performance where he didn't look like he was at his best, but he did learn. I think that fight's gonna do a lot for him. So, it just gives people room to criticize Jermall Charlo at middleweight. And when we look at the middleweight division, he's kind of become like the Deontay Wilder of the middleweight division. Maybe even Deontay Wilder on steroids, because the middleweight division is pretty much ran by DAZN. All the best middleweights, all the champions aside from Charlo are on DAZN. Demetrius Andrade is on DAZN. Daniel Jacobs is on DAZN. Triple G is on DAZN. Canelo Alvarez is on DAZN. So when we look at this fight and why he's taking it, there's two reasons why he's taking this fight with a guy like Brandon Adams. If this winds up coming to fruition, right now it's just a source. It's just a report from ESPN that he'll be defending his interim WBC title in Houston, Texas on June 15th on a card that will be televised on Showtime. But there's only two logical reasons why this fight is taking place. Number one, okay, Brandon Adams is what we deem in boxing as a safe opponent. Obviously, boxing is a dangerous sport, but when you hear the word safe opponent, it just means someone who is going to give you some rounds, but that you're supposed to beat because his style or the attributes that he has and his skill set don't necessarily alarm you enough to be fearful of losing, okay? So that's number one. Number two, he's fighting Brandon Adams because Brandon Adams is actually ranked by two sanctioning bodies, okay? As I speak now at the time of this video, Brandon Adams is ranked number 7 in both the WBA and WBO. So a win over him gets Jermall Charlo, you'd be led to believe it gets Jermall Charlo in the rankings. It positions him in a better place to potentially unify the division with the likes of Demetrius Andrade, unify the likes with maybe Canelo Alvarez if they can somehow come to an agreement for that fight. So, is it the kind of fight that's going to move Jermall Charlo in the right direction and get people to say that, hey, this guy right here, this is the best middleweight in the world? Absolutely not. Those fights are only going to be when he tries to unify titles with the likes of Demetrius Andrade, with the likes of Daniel Jacobs or Canelo or Triple G, whoever gets the belts. So, he's in a tough position, maybe even more so than Wilder, because at least with Wilder, you can go, literally for heavyweights, you have Tyson Fury, you have Anthony Joshua, you have Dillian White. I wouldn't say that like DAZN has such a stronghold on the heavyweight division, but middleweights, when we talk about middleweights, DAZN literally has the middleweights unlocked. They got all the good middleweights. They got Triple G, Canelo, Andrade, Jacobs, all the champions, all the guys who mean anything in the division, all the guys that would take Charlo's career to that next level are on DAZN. And if we just look at like most Al Haymon fighters, like for example Gervonta Tank Davis, okay, I know, and Gervonta Davis, if he fights at his best and Tevin Farmer fights at his best, he should spark Tevin Farmer. He's better than him, okay? We all know that. With that being said, Leonard Ellerbe and PBC, they won't allow Tank to go to DAZN for whatever reason, because I don't know, they got their own plans. They don't want to go there. They don't want to go to DAZN. So they, and then Wilder turned down the $100 million to go to DAZN. So if that trend continues, I wouldn't expect Charlo to unify the division. I would expect for him to fight, guys who are ranked in the top 15. Cannon fodder opposition. So we'll start with a safe opponent like Brandon Adams. Then maybe like Jason Quigley, or maybe like Liam Williams. These are all guys who are lower ranked, top 10, 15, ranked opponents, cannon fodder opposition, guys that are what we deem in boxing as safe opponents. So, yeah, I mean, it's not the fight we wanted, but it's supposedly happening. So we'll see what happens. I know he's probably getting crucified for all over the YTBC right now because people want to see Jermall Charlo moving into a positive direction with his career, and it's not happening. He's fighting a guy that won the Contender, which, no disrespect to the Contender, I think it's a great show for guys who are trying to revamp their careers, and credit to Brandon Adams. This is not a slight on Brandon Adams. I watched the Contender. I saw Brandon Adams outbox Kai Chov. I saw Brandon Adams beat Shane Mosley Jr. Good for him. He's done a lot. He's done so good for his career. And you know what? From this side of things, if he gets that with Charlo, I hope he takes full advantage of it, because he had to do it the hard way. He had to go in the Contender. He had to go box these little 4-6 round fights against these guys. He won. He's got his name out there. So fair play to him, because this is a guy in Brandon Adams who a couple years ago, he got outboxed by William Monroe Jr. He got stopped by John Thompson. He looked like his career was going nowhere, but he's revitalized his career, And, you know, it's boxing. Anything can happen. So, that's the news. Jermall Charlo reportedly, being reported that his next opponent will be contender, middleweight winner, Brandon Adams. June 15th, Houston, Texas, Showtime. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this a good or bad look for Jermall Charlo's career? Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dean. So until next time, take care, guys.
My name is Rachel McDonough, and this is my friend. Hi, I'm Savannah, and we're here at the beautiful Madison Square Garden for the big fight, and you are watching True School Sports.